Let me set the scene for you. Picture it. A quiet, moonlit beach with waves crashing softly in the background. Our protagonist, Layla, had decided to take a spontaneous midnight stroll. She needed air, clarity, and if she were honest, some excitement. So, there she was, barefoot in the sand, her silky red dress clinging to her as the cool breeze wrapped itself around her figure like an invisible dance partner. A week earlier, Layla had booked an impromptu solo vacation in Bali. She had always been a bit of a free spirit, but this year had thrown her enough curveballs to make her feel more like a caged bird. Work stress, constant. A bad relationship ended in disaster. The icing on the not-so-savory cake? Her sister's bridal shower, where everyone asked when she'd finally settle down. If only they knew how hard it was to find someone with compatible, let's just say, interests. Anyway, back to the beach. Layla was enjoying the serenity, contemplating whether she'd packed enough bikinis for her 10-day stay. Priorities, right? Suddenly, she noticed faint music drifting through the air. Jazz, soft but distinctive. Intrigued, she followed the sound, her feet sinking into the sand as she moved toward the shoreline's nearest edge, her curiosity intensifying with each step. And there it was, a bonfire. Not just your average stick and spark kind, but a carefully arranged display of firelight magic. Surrounding it were luxuriously cushioned seats, lanterns casting an ambient golden glow, and a table set with, wait for it, champagne and strawberries. At the center of it all stood a solitary figure dressed in white linen, tall and composed like someone who had clearly organized an entire secret midnight soiree. Layla hesitated. Crashing someone else's event wasn't exactly part of her game plan, but who could resist a setup like this? Before she could retreat, the figure turned around. He was striking, piercing green eyes, sun-kissed skin, and a jawline sharp enough to cut glass. Hollywood casting directors could only dream of finding someone like him. He smiled, and just like that, her retreat plans dissolved. "I was hoping you'd join," he said, his voice as smooth as velvet. Layla blinked. Was this man expecting someone? Was she inadvertently stealing someone's date? Her mind raced. "Excuse me?" she blurted, sounding far less composed than she wished. "You walked straight into my setup, and it'd be a shame to let all this go to waste. Take a seat. Relax." He gestured toward the cushions with a flourish that could have been cheesy, but somehow, it wasn't. Her internal debate was quick. Spontaneity was why she'd come to Bali, wasn't it? So, she sat down, a little cautiously, but mostly thrilled. For the next few minutes, or hours, who even knows, they talked. His name was Liam, and he claimed to be a travel writer. He had a knack for spinning stories that made her laugh. Stories of aerial yoga in Mexico gone wrong, and speedboat races in Monaco. "You have to be kidding," Layla said at least a dozen times, to which he'd reply coyly, "I never joke about life's absurdities." And then came the champagne. No sooner had they toasted, "To living bravely," Liam said. The inevitable flirtation began. His compliments were relentless, but not annoying. He noticed details: her ankle bracelet, the faint freckle on her right cheek. Her laughter seemed to echo louder than the waves. Or maybe it was the alcohol. The conversation grew bolder, daring. They played hypothetical games. What would you do if nobody could judge you? Liam's answers ranged from learning to skate naked in Central Park to giving up possessions and living on a Caribbean island. Layla admitted she'd try flamenco dancing and maybe finally explore her craving for adventure. Not the physical kind, but the, well, let's keep this PG-13. Before the night was over, yes, before, it started drizzling. Rain in Bali? Classic romance plot device, but hey, their fun deserved a cinematic flourish. Rather than escaping, they embraced it. Liam swung open a massive umbrella he apparently had in his bag of tricks, guiding Layla back under the cushions. People often say perfect moments are fleeting, but this one lingered in her mind. The next morning, they exchanged numbers with promises of reconnecting. Yet, oddly, she couldn't shake the feeling that Liam had curated that bonfire entirely for her. Coincidence or destiny? She may never know. You can't make this stuff up, or maybe you can. Either way, it's the kind of story that keeps you wondering, what if? So tell me, dear viewers, does this spur you to be more impulsive? Or will you file it under beautiful yet impossible stories? Let me know in the comments. Until next time, stay curious, stay spontaneous, and maybe, just maybe, pack an umbrella.